Hey, Poskies and Poskers, it's your podcast pod coming at you with 3 Gen Patriot Podcast. 1, 2, 3. Son, dad, granddad, I am the trifecta. I am your poobah. I am your paws. And ma. No, just your pa. But I am your pop-pop. Come sit on pop-pop's lap because I'm going to take you on a fabulous journey. Not really. Not really. But tonight, for the 3 Gen Patriot Podcast, most of you probably saw that the other night I did a "When you kids got tic-tac, sons of bitches, tic, now with your fancy phones. I don't know nothing about no phones. Here we go, Gus, with his truck. Back in 1965, them sons of bitches. So, anyway, where was I? Ah, yes. You have beckoned me. You have, excuse me, pardon me, that's right. You have summoned me to be a part of your evening. Okay, watch this. How many of you, honestly, when have you noticed a stench in the air? Something doth stinketh. Something don't smell right. You know what that is? You know what that is? I'm gonna tell you what it is. All right? I'm gonna tell you. You me tell you? I'm gonna tell you. It's called the praising and the acknowledging of someone who passes away, and somehow that is licensed to forgive them of their sins. Those of you who know, that's not true. My hair is just all whacked, dude. I just can't deal with it yet. Okay, dude. So we're just gonna go like that, dude. It's like crazy. Whatever. So, listen to your podcast, Pa. All right. When somebody passes away, excuse me. They still committed the sins in life. So you go and they die. Okay, they die. And you say, well, I didn't agree with his politics, but he was a good human being. No, that's not true. No, it's not true. Sorry, not true. Sorry. When somebody passes away, they, above all, should be held to account. You don't say, well, he reached across the aisle and really got to work on issues that mattered to him. No. I thought he was a brilliant negotiator. No. You're the true bipartisan gentleman. No. Nope. Because like I tell my boys and my girl, all right? Like I tell all 3 of my kids and 2 of my stepkids, which is all 5 of the kids. I always tell them. And I've always told my older kids, my kids, and I'm starting to tell these 2 younger ones that I've taken on, the Dominator and Odd Drizzle. You'll meet, you know them. Someone's words only matter so much as to compare them to their actions. So when we're gonna go in there, we're gonna bomb the hell out of them because they just deserve that. No. I would like to remind you all of something. I'm gonna get a little political here, but this podcast isn't really about that. So suck it up, Buttercup. The deal is, oh my God, I banged my head the other day. I racked it. When you commit my money to a foreign country, it better be because I'm there and I'm needing the money. Because as we all know, it's a violation of our constitutional rights to take American tax dollars from American citizens and give them to foreign countries. That's a fact. It's a fact. Okay? It's a fact. Moreover, lobbyists is a form of corruption because, after all, what do lobbyists do? Lobbyists buy favor from the government that is supposed to represent the people first, not special interest groups, not certain individuals, no one. Lobbyists is corruption across the board. It is, bottom line. It's corruption across the board. So I don't want to hear any excuses for that. So when you have a certain senator who kicks the bucket, and everybody's all sad, and everybody's all, well, he was a true bipartisan politician. No, you know what he was? He was a corrupt bastard. Now listen, I'm going to be clear with you. Everybody in the House and the Senate is on the take already. Just look at their financial filings, okay? Senators are paid $178,000 a year. Congressmen, don't quote me on this, but I believe Congress is 120 or 140 around their K a year. So, yeah. However, Mr. Senator in question actually did not insider trade, and if he did, he was incredibly good at hiding it. Bottom line is, I just don't think he did it. You know, I'll give credit where credit's due. I don't think he did it. But what he did do was all too freely and eagerly wanting to send our money to every godforsaken crap hole on the planet. You know, countries that are getting bombed and invaded and at war. You know, I can think of one in the Middle East, and I can think another of Eastern Europe. But I digress. I never gave permission for that. Nowhere in the Constitution does it give lawmakers the authority, without the consent of the governed, to donate money in foreign aid. Now, as much as you don't like a certain senator with curly hair, he's right about one thing. You don't have the right to take my money, my tax dollars, and give them to anyone. Not in this country or out. You don't. FEMA is a violation of the Constitution. Now, I'm not going to get too in the weeds here, but if you're going to be a constitutional patriot, be one. All the way. Communities can rally together and handle their own disaster relief. They don't need any help from me. And when my community suffers a disaster, we pull together. That's the way it was designed. It wasn't designed to have this overlord, paycheck, bucket handout of money every time a disaster hits. Now, do we have a problem with FEMA? I do, because I think they've been corrupted, but I digress. I know they have been. All right. So it's not a matter of think they have. I know they have. Okay. So if FEMA was operating the way it kind of was designed to, then the government would have set aside a certain amount of tax dollars, and it would write legislation that says this amount of tax dollars is going here, and exactly that amount is going here, and exactly that amount is going here. And the consent of the governed would have to give consent. So you really need to have your constituents vote. Say, how much of your tax dollars do you want to give to FEMA? And then what kind of an oversight do you want on FEMA? Okay. I say give 15% of my tax dollars to FEMA. Everybody says that. You get a majority vote. That is called, that right there, a majority vote. That is one of the democratic processes that we have in our constitutional republic. Okay? Only on a very micro level do we use full democratic policy and procedure. Majority vote is that very process. That's why we don't have a democracy in this country, and I just don't want to deal with people who are too stupid to know that. So, bottom line is, I sure as hell don't want to give my money to foreign countries. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. Do I support, I'm going to tell you right now, do I support a certain people in the Middle East? Of course I do. Of course I do. Do I support their government? No. Am I allowed to say the difference? Am I allowed to speak my difference? Am I allowed to clarify that difference and then say these two things can be true at the same time? I can despise the government and the military, and I can empathize and support the actual people there. Except when gay pride parades are being held in Israel. You want to be gay, that's fine. Be gay. I don't give a crap. I've known lots of gay people. I have no problem with it. The problem I have is when everybody else who makes up all this gender crap and thinks they can hijack that and then demand that the government support them. No. Hard no. Hard no. But I digress. Your podcast pal here. Okay. You know, if I had the money, I would buy all the Queers for Palestine a ticket to Palestine. And then when they got off the bus, I would take bets on how long it took for them to all be slaughtered. And don't be mad at me for that. That's a fact of life. That's a fact of their culture. That's a fact of their ideology. The sadness and sickness that makes people honestly believe that they would openly and publicly say something like that and think it's real. That's our fault as generational Americans for letting our children go by the wayside, letting our children go by the wayside, letting their children go by the wayside. And I do mean your children, not mine. Mine have not gone by the wayside. Mine are free to believe what they want, but they believe it with an educated understanding of why they believe it. Sane, rational, common sense, bottom line. And that comes with a grounded sense of individuality. A true and genuine man, woman, has a strong character and an ironclad moral grounding. That grounding is tested, yes, that grounding will crack, but it will never falter. Because when you understand the true value of doing good for good's sake, of doing the right thing because it's the right thing, no external value can override that. It just can't. Okay? But I digress. Okay. So, we've been a little bit crooked here. So, I don't appreciate that kind of blind, spend other people's money, support crap. I don't. And so this certain senator should be held to account. He may have been a nice enough guy, but he was not a good steward of his citizenry. He got into office, and if the only good thing he did was not insider trading, that's a pretty sad, pretty low effing bar. Because he violated the Constitution and his role as an elected official, governing by the consent of the governed. He violated it 6 ways a Sunday. All right, in every other way. So it doesn't matter what he didn't do in terms of corruption. It matters what he did do that was corrupt. Now, I'm not saying he took any profit from it. You don't have to. If I demand money from you and you give it to me, and then I take that money and I give it to people who are in different parts of the world, how would you feel about that? And then I told you, well, it's, part of our foreign policy and foreign aid and blah. These are so intertwined. Corruption is so wrought. It's like a wart. And the tentacles run deep. And they're spread out. The only way to get rid of a wart that big is to chop off the whole friggin' arm and start over. That's your podcast, Pa. That's about as political as I'm gonna get. I may dabble in it later, but remember, a constitutional patriot is not a political person. That's a man who understands the founding, the documents, and the purpose and the belief that our founders had. Were they great men? Yes. Were they smart men? Smarter than anybody living today, hands down. Were they faulted? Did they have faults? Did they have moral faults? Did they have spiritual faults? Did they? I think I did. Of course they did. Was that all that defined them? No. And if you think so, you're a moron. You're just a moron. And there's no hope for you anyway. If one aspect of a person defines who they are entirely in your eyes, then you are the one who is broken, not them. You have a broken definition, a broken belief, and a broken understanding of what individuality is, of what the sum total of a person is, of all the attributes, defects, true nature, character, morality. You are either too stupid or too lazy to understand all that means and see past it. When you can still love, care, and have a very strong, very close relationship with someone, when one of their primary beliefs is something like political that you don't agree with, and you let that be the only thing that matters about them, then you're the broken one, not them. Bottom line, you're the broken one, not them. Okay? Understand that. And your podcast Pa's gonna be giving some more lessons on that later on, so you're gonna want to tune into that. Believe me, you will. Excuse me now. Tipping over back this here. I walk back to this here now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's go. I think I'm gonna take another one. This sip and dig. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Let me get an old pull on this here now. Baby, baby, I'm falling in love with you. Yeah, all right. See? Your podcast pod can end it on a smooth, sexy note. All right. So, Shut up, Mimsy. Sorry, boss. Okay, listen. If you name that, name that. South Park, dude. Come on. What's wrong with you guys? All right, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you. Because my Poskies and Poskers and my Poscougars. Much love for you, babies. All right, out there. Nothing wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Wrong with you. Nothing wrong. Excuse me. I'm gonna take a little devil pull off this here now. Ooh. Okay, listen. Ooh, I can't advertise. My bad. I actually hate this, babe. It sucks ass. Shh, 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 shh. No. Shh, 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 shh. Your podcast, Pa. Has to wrap it up now. So, all of my Poskies, Poskers, and Poscougars. Better get to bed now. Okay. Because tomorrow night we're going live, baby. We're going to do a live about 9 o'clock. I might be doing a little TikTok live. So check it out. Mikey. Lost Boys. All right. Oh, your podcast pause. Fact of life. Houses and any part of a house on the inside is a banana peel, is like a banana. Never judge the structure behind the peel by the peel itself. Banana peels can look and feel strong and ripe and good. And you peel them back and there's multiple bruises. Remember that. Never ever look at a roof, a wall, a floor, or any structure or its area, meaning the walls, the floor, the roof, rim, all that, attic. Never judge that by what you can see outside. Because the outside may look just fine. On the inside, the insulation's turned into a vapor retarder. And you got about 6 grains of black mold about ready to aerosol and go into your duct system. So remember that, all right? That's a little bit of freebie for you. You want any more? We're going to have to work out a little special deal. I'll pull back on this here now. All right, Poskies and Poskers and Poscougars. Have a good night. And remember, as your constitutional patriot, be that. Stand on your principles, but make sure your principles are grounded in reality, common sense, logic, and a perception of human nature. Bye now. I'm going to give you a sexy wink. Here we go. Come on. Come on with it now. Come on. Ooh. How about like this? Ooh. That gave me chills. That was so smooth. Damn. I'm going to do another pull on this here now. Hey, I have a question for you. If you're a smoker and you blow smoke into your own face, does that mean you're going to go home and masturbate? Stop with that creepiness. All right. Peace out. Much love. And remember, keep the faith. If you don't keep the faith, you don't keep anything. From your podcast,